All right, friends, how are you today? Aaron Michael Eschenburg here, bringing you some more honest astrology here on a Sunday fun day. It is July 14th, 2019. It is the one day of the year that the sun, down in Cancer, is going to oppose Pluto up in Capricorn, all right? So the sun down in emotional, kind of vulnerable. You know, it reminds me of like that rabbi, if you guys seen the rabbi talking about how lobsters grow. You know, lobsters outgrow its shell, it becomes very painful. As the shell itself doesn't expand, okay? The shell does not expand. This is the year of expansion, so this is kind of a cool story to go along with this. You know, the shell doesn't expand, so the lobster does expand, and it has to shed its shell. It becomes very vulnerable, goes underneath a rock, you know, so it's like any prey can get at this point. You know, it's not really protected. So it kind of hides out, it expands, and it grows a new shell. Okay, and then eventually that shell becomes more painful, and as it expands and expands within it, and it grows a bigger and a bigger and bigger and bigger shell. And the rabbi's point of the whole story is like, you know, if lobsters had doctors, they'd never grow because we're kind of dumbing ourselves down. We're not feeling the pain that we need for us to break through to the next place in life. You know, so we have this like deep transformation going on today. It's just like the sun, you know, down here is just like, you know, it's down in Cancer, and it's like hiding out right now under that rock. And it's making this connection, the sun is making the connection over to Pisces and Neptune, which is this expansion. And of course, Pisces and Neptune is making the expansive connection to Jupiter and Sagittarius, both of our expansive planets in our two expansive signs. And right now the moon is also up in Sagittarius. So this is furthermore a day of expansion, transformation and expansion, as we've been learning a lot of new things about ourselves, a lot of new things about other people, you know, throughout this past week, right? Like we talked about earlier this week, it's like something we don't think about, you know, we beat our own hearts. It's not something that's done by anyone else, it's done by us, even though we don't ever think about doing it. So there's a lot of things that are kind of like hidden under the radar that we do unconsciously, that we manifest in our lives, you know, that puts us, you know, again behind the steering wheel in the driver's seat of our own creation of life. So we've been learning a lot. It's just like, okay, and it's like, okay, how do we adapt these things? And sometimes when we're confronted with things that it's like, okay, well, we've learned wrong by people who learned wrong, and it's not their fault and it's not my fault, but now I'm like kind of confused as what is right. You know, so it's like this relearning life and questioning some things of self, questioning things of others. And it's important that we're taking right now is the moon is still in Sagittarius until about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until 3 p.m., you know, my friends out in LA. You know, so it's just like we're going from fire and this learning and this faith, and it's like wielding or forging our materials. And then the moon goes into Capricorn, which is like perfecting this. Okay, so it's just like what we've learned, we're bringing into perfection and we're implementing in real life use now. So it's like, okay, like we talked about yesterday, you know, there's some aspects of depression that's going on. And sometimes when we encounter others with this, we say, oh, well, I'll hang out with you and let me lift you up and get you out of this depression. And if someone's not looking for that, you know, we can beat them up even more as they'll feel bad about being how they are, as if they shouldn't feel that way. You know, it's just like somebody saying to the lobster, well, hey, get out of there. You know, don't be vulnerable right now. You don't got to do that. You know, don't. And it's just like, no, this is a necessary step in the progress of where we're going, of where I'm going. You know, this is a necessary step for me in my own growth, is to be vulnerable, you know, and to transform. That's exactly what's going on, and that's exactly the reflection of what's happening in the charts today. So, you know, I'll show it to you real fast. So here's the sun at 21, and we've got Pluto at 21. You know, they're just, this is a perfect connection today, and this happens once a year. And this is still making that, you know, that beautiful trine over here to expansive Neptune, which is still making the connection here to Jupiter and Sagittarius. And of course, this is like the hey, we've, you know, this nagging kind of feeling like, one, you're not alone in these emotions. This isn't just about you. There's other people involved. And it's just like we have to communicate. We have to, you know, have the fire to drive the communication, is that's what brings our breakthroughs. That's how we break this tradition. That's how we heal self. We're still making this square. This is a balance. If we don't communicate, if we don't lead, if we don't get out there with our fire, we suffer not being able to break through by hiding ourselves. So it's just like we need to step out and kind of, this is where the shore meets the ocean, where water and earth meet together. And we're bringing those ideas, things that we've learned this past week, and bringing those into implementation. Like, how can I now use this knowledge? How can I utilize this? What can I do, again, to help somebody else out, or to be present? And that's the other part, of the moon moving into Capricorns. It's like the moon's technically in detriment in Capricorn. So this eclipse, the moon is in a place where it's weakest, because what's the cardinal energy of Capricorn is just like, look, we got to get work done here. As this water sinks to the bottom of things and wants to be emotional, it's just like, look, I need to make the mountains. I can't come down here. I've got this to do, and I'm creating all of these things. So there's a balance here, and as well, this is a balance. Maybe I'll talk about this more, the eclipse, but this is important, I think, with the sun and transformative Pluto. It's like sexual identity is a huge aspect here between the polarities of the Cancer Capricorn axis. Okay, and it's like since 2008, since Pluto has been in Capricorn, we've seen this huge transformation come more to the face of the public, to more in the image of the public eye, which again, Capricorn is the 10th house, so this is public image. And it's just like this transformation of what we're seeing in the public's eye of sexuality, and the transformation of sexuality, and these things becoming more accepted, which is a beautiful part of this. You're right. So and some of the eclipse is going to highlight that as well. And it's just like coming into our own, sinking to the bottom in the sense of our own vulnerability, and accepting the structure, our own, where our own emotional body meets our how do I put this? Like we're creating our own clay pot, to hold that water, and we're transforming it. It's just like we're creating this right now, and this is still under molding. It's not perfectly defined. And it's just like all the ideas that we've had, all these concepts that we've had, the expansive knowledge we've had over the past few days as the moon's been in Sagittarius, and the past week as we've gone down deeper, and this Scorpio energy a couple days ago, right? And the balance of the compassion and really seeing that other people, the other side of other people while the moon was in Libra. And it's just like now we're putting all of this stuff in this pot, and we're molding that pot, so it's like forming today, and we get to harden it tomorrow. As the moon is really going into Capricorn and getting ready for the eclipse, because then this is like this beautiful release. So we'll talk about that then. So have a great day, like molding your pot, transforming and reshaping it, and caring. And again, let's go back to that for just a quick second, if you're still with me. Of allowing and accepting others, and using this higher information to accept oneself, the responsibility of our own actions, and to accept others wherever they're at on their journey. Here we go. Here's another one. All right, I know it was two fun stories. If you're still with me, here we go. One, if how would you explain it to a child? Is it different how you'd explain it to an adult? If so, why? Because we expect adults to have a certain level of understanding. Something like going the way of the wood, or don't go against the grain. Both of these are talking about painting. So it's just like, okay, this is a way of painting or cleaning wood. You go with the grain, and it's just it's a smoother way to get in and get everything done. You don't go against it. So it's like, okay, if a child doesn't know this, explain it to a child is very simple. Then if you're an adult and you're just like, what? How do you not know this? You've heard this expression a million times in your life. Have you never thought about what it actually meant? Or, sometimes we have less patience for adults as we do for children, because we have these kid gloves on, or we should anyway. So it's just like, well, why? And because we have this idea that they should just expect that they know something. And now there's two sides of that, like that's like Dunning-Kruger effect, right? So where one, you have confident ignorance on one side, where people will lie and say, yes, of course I know that, so they don't feel dumb, so they feel smart, so they put themselves above and elevate themselves. And this Cancer energy is saying, no, bring this back down, don't do that, be authentic, be real about what you can do. And then this Capricorn energy is like, follow through with that. If you say that this is who you are and this is what you're going to do, prove it. Like put your money where your mouth is and form that. Create this pot. Don't just say, I'm going to hold the water for you. Hold this weight, man. That's what Saturn's saying. Hold that weight. All right. And the Aries or the fire energy in Leo is saying, yes, I can. Yes, I can hold this weight. Okay, so it's just like, well, hey, let's have more patience for our brothers and sisters that are adults here that may just not be where we're at in our life, where our level of understanding. We shouldn't have to expect them to be where we are, because then again, we expect everyone to know the same thing we are. Well, I'm up at 7 a.m., so you should be up at 7 a.m., or I'm up at 5 a.m., so you should be up, or I'm up at midnight, so you should be up. This is like, that's kind of like a bit of a sociopathic kind of a thinking that we kind of want to steer away from right now, that just like, all right. So either way, aside from that, being more patient with our brothers and sisters. Here's another one, another fun story that I'm gonna end this with. This is a cool one. Like, it was like a dad, an elderly dad and his son, and a crow land. I think I shared this one before, but I don't care. It's still a really good one. The crow lands on a windowsill, and his dad says, "What's that?" And the son says, "It's a crow, Dad." And then he kind of nods. He says, "What's that?" He says, "That's a crow, Dad." And he does it again. He says, "What's that right there?" And the son gets all mad and says, "It's a crow, Dad." Loses his temper, loses his patience. He's off tilt. He's not flowing, right? And the dad gets up, kind of seemingly disappointed. He goes and grabs a book. It's his diary, and he hands it to his son. And it's open this page, and it says, "Today a crow landed on the windowsill. And my son asked me, 'What is that?' I said, 'It's a crow.' And he said, 'Ask me 12 times in a row, what is that?' And every time I answered, it was a crow, with delight to teach my son." And it's just like, God, if that doesn't just get you right here in the feels, it's just like, right, the love and the care and the patience that a father had for a child, the child doesn't have that same love, care, and patience for the father, for the adult, for the parent. So it's just like, woo, bringing it down, reeling it in here, to that, again, that place of vulnerable. Like, what are we in a rush for? What are we so busy for? Our busy lives that we're not connecting, that we expect everyone to be up here. Hey, there's no time for depression. It's like, no, there's keys and there's answers in depression. There's beauty in it. It's a flower opening up. So, wherever you're at, love it. Love wherever you're at in this journey right now. We've got a really beautiful couple days going on leading up to this eclipse. So, all right, patience, my friends, patience, and love to you all. We'll see you tomorrow.